Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Babani here. If you're an influencer or a pro and you want to augment your influence with effortless content, then this is for you. Stay tuned. Before proceeding, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on this channel or this presentation are solely my own and do not reflect those of any company, orgs, or brand that I'm associated with. The content shared here is for info and educational purpose only, aimed at learning and knowledge sharing. It should not be considered professional advice or an official representation of any entity. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own research and exercise their own judgment when applying any insight from this content. Okay, so back to what we are building here. If you're an influencer or an expert in your own domain, a lot of times you'd like to create content that puts your point of view or gets the latest insights from things happening in your domain, but you do not have a lot of time to do research and write and prepare all that content. So this is a problem I have faced, and I'm sure there are a lot of other folks who have such a need. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to build an autonomous solution that is powered by agents, and we are not talking about spy agents like James Bond. We are talking about AI agents. They can research the content of your interest, they can aggregate that data, and then create a blog that you would like to publish. Here, we are not just going to completely send it to the public, but we would like to put the human, that's you, in the middle to review the content that the autonomous system generates. We'd also like to make sure that the blog doesn't look like machine generated solution. It can potentially write things in your own style. So what that means is you can share few of the blogs that you have written and it can write in your own style. All of these can happen while you sleep, the research, the content generation, and notification. So all of that's what we will be exploring here. So this is the exploration, but the primary focus would be to do a design thinking before we even build the solution. That's the first part. The second part I would like to also focus on is more on the technology side here, and something that I have been really excited about is the agent to agent protocol that Google has launched. So I wanted to apply that to this solution, something that is meaningful, something that I can use and demonstrate how I leverage that. So with that said, let's get going. So if you start a design thinking around this solution, you'd start with the user empathy. And in here, we are looking at influencers, thought leaders who are on LinkedIn, Substack, Facebook, and other places. And these could be individuals who are executives, or coaches, or consultants in different domains. Or they could just be domain experts who lack time but need visibility and content consistency. And then all of these the individuals care about the credibility, the tone, and accuracy of the data that they're representing. So for these users, the pain points are they don't have time to research the content, and then they also need relevant content at great speed. And they need to have control on the content before it goes out. So that's what we call as human in the loop. So that's the empathy part. Then we need to define if we have to define this problem, we'll say that these are busy professionals or influencers who need a reliable, time efficient way of creating high quality on brand blog posts that reflect their expertise or are relevant to their audience. So, to build the solution, if we want to go into the ideation phase, we want to go lean and build it in different slices. The first slice would be more like a lean slice. Phase one would be users can log in to a platform, let's say a software as a service platform, web based. They can add their interests, or they can sign in through professional uh, network login, and then we can extract information from their bio. In the beginning, if we want to go lean, then you can just provide prompt on what you want to write, and then we want to leverage AI agents to research on that prompt and then generate the search results or the research results. And then we would generate a blog that's a draft, and that can be saved and notified to the user saying it's ready for review. And then user can edit and then download or can share. We also want to add maybe a picture that would be making it more interesting. And the midterm capabilities, maybe phase two would be we can create those keywords as an alert, so it is I would say semi autonomous. So it is going and doing the research. So it's kind of auto research from trusted sources like RSS feeds or news, and then it creates like a weekly single blog post or generates drafts, and then finally it should notify the user when it's ready. And in the future capabilities, it could be fully autonomous. That means it's doing all of this on its own, and based on the trends or what's hot in your interest area, it can generate those, and then still you get notified and you review and publish. In one of these phases, we can actually also add a functionality where it it doesn't write in a certain format always, and it can get accustomed to the user's writing style. What that means is you can share a few blogs that you have written, so it understands how you write your blogs. So the blogs that are generated by this autonomous system would look like your blogs. And then in the final phase, we can also provide features where you can single click. You can, if it looks good, you can publish to multiple different channels like LinkedIn or Substack and other Medium, WordPress, and all those platforms. We may also want to embed uh, user metrics or analytics so that we can see how much of outreach that has generated for the content I created. So the best part would be that this will be fully autonomous ultimately, but we can go lean and start getting the value out of this system. So going back, so that's a lean backlog for us. MVP is a prompt mode, then we go in the semi-autonomous mode, and then ultimately we go into what we call as agentic AI. Means it's fully autonomous, still you are human in the middle, in the loop, getting a chance to review the content before it goes out. So let's jump into understanding what will be required or what's the workflow before we build this system. So when we write blogs, we already know enough to write this content, right? But sometimes to be, to write more uh, like the content based on recent topics or news, something that you just got excited about, or you want to provide insights on, you need to research a lot of content from news articles or uh, from blogs, other blogs, or some announcements. Like for example, this whole A2A. Let's say you are interested in writing agentic solutions and you found A2A to be a promising protocol, then you may just want to write a blog because you are an expert at creating agentic solutions. So for that, you need to research different topics and articles. That's the first step. And then you need to read and summarize because you might be using more than one uh, source. And then you send these summaries to, or you use these summaries to write the blog. Now, once you write the blog, you want to create a engaging or inviting topic. That's very important. And to make it more interesting, you can also embed a picture that represents the blog. So finally, here we see what is a sample of what we can generate. So this is a blog on how generative AI can be leveraged for individuals who have a need uh, for specialized learning. So what we just saw are different layers of processing uh, to generate the final outcome, which is an an enriching and engaging blog that has an image, that has a title, and that has examples or quotes from different sources or research items. So all of these, like we saw the searching, uh, the summarization of the content, and then writing the blog, and then generating a title from the blog that was written, and then generating a prompt for the image that you want to generate, and then finally creating the image, storing it all together, and publishing it. So all of these can be different agents that uh, can perform a certain task, and in each of these there is some level of intelligence that's involved. We'll talk about it. So we can build a monolithic system, have different parts and stitch them together. We can put all these agents together interacting, but what if I want to just use the search for another purpose, right? So so I want to have decoupled systems like on search or writing a blog given some research items, or given a blog I want to generate a title. So all these could be decoupled systems that can be leveraged or reused for different purposes. So so I want to have a standard in having these agents who can collaborate or get uh, a goal to be orchestrated. So I want standardized agent to agent communication. So I want discoverability of these services. So if you are an enterprise and creating these services and other applications or products want to leverage some of these reusable agents, then you want discoverability of them. And then like we just said, we need decoupled system architecture, so we need modular solutions. And then as we process, some of these research might take time. It can probably go to 100 different sites and get a response. It might take several minutes to do this research. So we want to give the user continuous update on where we are in the whole process. So we want to do streaming, and as we gather this data and we transition to another agent, we also want to share the context. Means what we gathered, we need to pass it downstream. And then since we are building reusable agents, we also want to uh, to be planning for security and trust, because these are autonomous systems. We want to make sure that they are not hallucinating, or they are not generating content that is not relevant. And there is also the systems are not abused, so we want to put uh, security on top of it. We want to enable audit logging, authentication, authorization, all of that. And then we also want to be able to orchestrate, and in each of these, like you saw one that generates text versus there is another one that may have is generating an image. So they could be leveraging different language models, right, or different models. So we want to make sure that we have support for multi-agent system, and yeah, and then this is a hybrid orchestration, so it's not like it has flexibility. So what does that sound like? So that's what is what we are talking about here. So that's essentially what Google's agent-to-agent protocol provides, and that's what we'll be exploring or leveraging here. So the core capabilities that we'll be focusing on here is we want to build a modular agent architecture, like we just discussed. We want to discover content through search. We want to have an agent for writing blogs, and then we want to have one that can read the blog and generate a title, and one that generates a prompt for generating an image from the blog, and then finally one that generates the image. And then we would have an orchestrator that does the stitching of all these together, and finally creates the whole blog with the picture. And like we said, we want to have it decoupled, so you can independently run or call these agents, and we'll have them run as fast APIs, so you can directly access them as APIs. And then we'll have a standard messaging format. We would have agent cards that would show what the capabilities are as per A2A capabilities. And then we would have task-based asynchronous processing, because some of these might be long running. So we want to have real-time status streaming, so we can update that on the uh, user's UI. So here is what our system design will look like. So here we will build a front end software as a service solution on Next.js with React front end, and that would where users can register, they can sign in with the login, or this we will use LinkedIn authentication. And then once they are authenticated, we would store user profile like name, email address, things like that on user data. And then we would also ask the user to capture a few of their blogs and then store them in their writing style. So we'll store that in MongoDB. And then from the front end, we would initiate requests to create blogs. So that goes to the orchestrator agent, and that orchestrator agent would interact with the search. The search would leverage this powerful API called Tabeli, and that will generate research topics and get us all this data on news and content discovery. And then we'll get the data and then send it to the blog writer. For that, we would leverage Anthropic, Claude, Sonnet, and we would write the blog. And then we would take that blog and then send it to the title generator and image prompt generator. And then image prompt generator will then pass the prompt to an image generator agent. And then for that we'll use stable diffusion to generate all of that. Finally, all this data coming together, we'll be storing them in the blogs in MongoDB. So you have access to the blogs, and we'll see how that looks like. So to summarize, what we have is inter-agent communication. So they would be so agents would be interacting with each other through standard messages and specific endpoints, task IDs to track status. We would implement lightweight. This is more of a early stage or slice one. So we are going to create a security layer where we would put token-based security, and then we would also API key-based security, and then we would also provide rate limiting, because we want to make sure that uh, you have we have some control over uh, the volume of requests we are getting for each of these agents. So these limits can be configurable. So this rate limiting will help us avoid system abuse. And then we'll use a standardized A2A message envelope that contains the content and the role. And then we'll also provide task responses, the status and results. So the results could be the body or the content that we are looking for. The agent cards are going to give us the details of what the agents are capable of doing, so metadata like the name, description, capabilities. And then finally we'll also provide streaming updates of each of these agents as they are working through this whole workflow. Okay, so we'll take a quick look at the application code. So as you see here, this is the uh, application code for the agents. So we have under the agents, we have different agents that we just discussed. So one that does a search and gets the content, and then the one that writes the blog, and then one that takes the blog and generates a prompt to generate an image, one that reads the blog and generates a title, and then we have the image generator, which uses the prompt and then generates the image. Now let's take a quick look at one of these. So these so here we are using one language model. You could use your own, right? So that's why it can be a hybrid system. So these agents, what they have is they're implementing A2A, so they're running as standalone A2A servers. So here all these agents are running at different ports, and we have a core server implementation. As you see, that's a A2A server. Okay, it has the core essence of what you will need for the agentic system as defined in A2A. So you have the agent, you have the agent key, the message handler. We also have done a lightweight implementation of a sliding window for rate limiting on each of these agents. We also have implemented security on each of these agents through API key. So those are all wired into the A2A server. So each of these agents are essentially running that. They're also available as directly you can call them as APIs, fast APIs. So that's each of these agents, and then they're using the A2A server. And then to call them, you use a A2A client, right? Here's an example. So it sends messages, standard message formats, and then it gets a response, standard response back. And then this is so that's how we have all the agents, and then we have the main that calls all these services and then orchestrates the request. based on the response, goes to the next step, and then finally aggregates all of that as with the title of the blog, the content of the blog, the picture URL. So the image generator here, once it generates image using stable diffusion model, it uploads to S3 storage and returns the S3 storage URL. So all of that aggregated comes back to the orchestrator or the main API endpoint. What else? We have the rate limiter here, sliding window mechanism, and then we have a lightweight implementation of the security key. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. And then also wanted to show you that here is what it looks like in terms of each of these agents. When they're interacting with each other, they also have individual security key is an example. So client API key, and then it should match the server API key. And then rate limiting, we have a sliding window implementation, so put some values here. So that's our application code, and then we have yeah, so and then we start all these agents by running start agent. So all the agents are ready to get orchestrated. Yeah, so you can access each of these agents for discoverability purpose. You can go to the /card URL and you can get the metadata on the agents. Like here we are seeing the search agent running at 8001, and then the blog writer running at 8002. So you can directly send message to these URLs. Okay, time for a demo. So this is the front end of the application. So here I've implemented authentication via LinkedIn. So once I sign in here, what you see is you see the last couple of blocks that I created. So that's the dashboard, and I can go here and see all the blocks that have been created through this platform. And then this is where I store a sample of my writing style. That means I can copy one of the blogs that I had written that can be used in providing input to the request, saying that write the blog in this style. And then I can create my interest topics. This is for future scope, where we can build a fully autonomous solution. So it can leverage the topics of my interest and start creating blogs. So let's create a blog now. So a little bit about this UI. Definitely we want to showcase the capability of real-time streaming and all that. So that's why you have a sort of like a debug like experience. You won't have it in the true product. So you can collapse it. There are individual agents here: search, blog writer, image prompt, image generator, title generator. So those will be all orchestrated when I submit a request. But let's expand this so we can see the data that's coming out of each of these agents as I post a request. So here I can specify the length of the blog I want to create, and then I can say write in my style. So that has one of my the blogs that I wrote for input. So it can write the blog in my style, and then I can specify a prompt. This is the first slice, so we are just making it prompt driven. You can use audio input, but I'm just going to type it out. So for our purpose, since we are talking about A2A standardization of interoperability across AI agents, so let's create a blog on topic power of A2A protocol in agentic AI orchestration. They're going to give it like 1100 words, write in my style, and then I will hit generate blog. So that's what is happening right now. It's just starting. So it did a search, it found few blog articles, as you can see. So now that's getting passed to blog writer, so it's using that, and it's also using my style of writing. So we should see the blog writer when it is done. So this step is complete. So this is what is real-time status streaming. So now the blog is written, so you already have a blog here. And then next step is using this blog content. It created an image prompt, so that's getting sent to image generator agent now. So image generator agent created that image, which you'll get to see now, uploaded it to S3 bucket, and it has returned the S3 URL. And finally the title generator agent read the blog and generated a nice title. So let's see what that is. So it created unlocking the power of collaborative AI, the agent to agent protocol. So this has written in my style. If you read that blog that I had written, it's similar to that. So it has gathered data from different sources. It also talks about MCP, how it fits into A2A. So I can review this, I can edit it, and I can publish it. So people who are in my network would definitely get value out of it. So that's it for the demo. And then obviously you can see the blog right here. You can read it here, right? So what we saw here is an implementation of A2A. There are quite a bit of capabilities here that we have leveraged, and there is a lot more to do further on this. So we did a modular system where we did a search as one module. So we had one agent for that. Then so it discovered content, sent it to the blog writer, and then blog writer, once it created the content, it also interacted with the image prompt generator, which ultimately generated the image by interacting with another agent. And then finally the title of the blog was created. So it was a modular system. Each of these agents can have their own rate limits. We can scale them up. So it can be very highly scalable system. We can load balance them, we can throttle them, we can put security on top. We implemented API key based security here, but that's just a starting point, right? We can do so much more on each of these. And since these are all modular, it's very easy to maintain them and upgrade them, and even change the models that are running that are supporting these agents. And then it streamlined a complex process of researching content and writing it. It provided us real-time streaming of each of the agents, what they are generating and where we are in the process. We implemented security, just literally scratched the surface, but there is so much more we can do. And then we can extend this, like we can add additional agents. Like for example, I may want to do another research agent that continuously finds the hot topics and maybe generates keywords before passing it down to the research or the search agent. And then I can also probably create additional layers where I need to do notification. Push notification is one capability we can add. So yeah, this is applying into a simple workflow of generating content, but it can be applied in several different domains and verticals. So it has wide applicability. So with that said, I definitely had a lot of fun building this and going through different layers of it. Hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, please drop them on the comments. Uh, Thanks for tuning in, and look forward to discussing more as we expand on this solution. Thank you.